Good evening, all Sharif people here, including Shubha. So we are here to discuss two, three chotu questions. One of them I have only taken one part because that part relates to a concept called management commentary. Now, management commentary, current issues mein thoda sa they have mentioned something about it. It's not like a tough concept or it's not a particularly difficult topic to do, but it is something which can be asked sometimes in the paper. So best if we are prepared. सस्टेनेबिलिटी रिपोर्टिंग के नीचे दिया एक छोटा सा डिस्कशन है ऑन मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री. नाउ व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज मैनेजमेंट कमेंट्री? दिस इज अ नैरेटिव रिपोर्ट दैट accompanies IFRS compliant financial statements. It gives the management's perspective on performance, position, risks, resources, and future prospects. So, what does the management think about the direction that the company is taking? Where is it heading? What are the risks? What are the resources available? It aims to help investors understand, contextualize, and forecast financial results. It is voluntary. It is not binding, not compulsory to do that. Voluntary matlab choice hai, and it is first of all, you should know that it is not an IFRS. It is not an accounting standard. It is just something that is a voluntary add-on from your end. Okay. Management commentary explains what's happened, why it happened, and what may happen in the future. Basically, a group of people gossiping is what management commentary is all about. It covers matters not shown in the financial statements, including non-financial factors. Risks faced by the company, risk exposure ho gaya, resources that are available, and how these resources help in value creation, non-financial drivers of performance, and management objectives and strategies, all of that is included. What do you include in management commentary? The 2010 practice statement says you can include what all? You can include business model, how the business creates value and generates cash flows. You can do financial analysis, performance, position, cash flows, key trends. You can analyze non-financial information, resources available, stakeholder ka time pass relationships. Then those intangibles which cannot be recorded in books of accounts, forward-looking information. It must supplement, not repeat the financial statements. ठीक है. This like a narrative disclosure. It's like a note. आप समझ लो coming from the management की where do we see the organization, where are we right now, where do we intend to go, all of that. What are the problems with the 2010 practice statement? It lacks long-term focus, contains generic boilerplate disclosure, matlab nothing specific, बहुत generic type of wordings are mentioned. That is the problem. Provides fragmented information which makes comparison difficult and insufficiently covers intangibles and ESG impact. Overlaps and conflicts with other narrative reporting frameworks, which is difficult for companies to navigate. The updation to this is the new management commentary that IASB is talking about. It is basically to give insight into long-term value creation. मतलब SBL छाप time pass है इसमें. Okay. So what all are you supposed to talk about? You are supposed to talk about business model, strategy, resources, relationships, risks, external environment, and financial performance and evaluation. Three level of disclosures: headline disclosures, high level investor needs, how does the company operate, where does it create value, what are the key risks. Assessment disclosure objectives की is the model scalable, can you expand it. Resilient matlab in case of challenges and risks, how will the organization respond. And certain specific disclosure requirements like environmental risk mitigation process. What are the metrics in management commentary? Companies should disclose key metrics used internally across 6 content areas: external environment, which is market share, risks, safety, incidents, reliance on single supplier. These are certain. हम जैसे ट्रिपल ए या डबल ए सॉरी ट्रिपल ए एंड एसबीएल में डिस्कस करते हैं ना, सिंगल सप्लायर डिपेंडेंस एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट बिजनेस रिस्क में. सो यू टॉक अबाउट इट. Brand evaluation, resources and relationships, and financial performance. Okay. Now, some qualitative attributes. Management commentary should be complete, balanced, accurate, clear and concise, comparable, verifiable. I think all of these are features of financial statements also. Nothing new here. And what are the key points for SBR? Management commentary is voluntary, non-binding, but widely used for listed companies. It is looking at the company, explaining the business model, what are the future plans, what are the risks, what are the resources which will create value, new proposals that the company is looking at, focus on value creation and material disclosures. ठीक है, this is what management commentary is all about, which is a narrative reporting. ठीक है, financial reporting से बढ़कर कुछ आप वहां पे दे रहे हो. Look at the first. This is there is only one question in the exam kit, which is Holls company. Holls company का जो second part है, that talks about IAS 19, and I think we have had enough discussion on IAS 19 so far. तो नया कुछ नहीं करना है उसमें. ठीक है. So let's look at this specific part. Okay. What is the question? The question is, the IFRS Practice Statement Management Commentary provides a broad, non-binding framework for the presentation of management commentary, which relates to financial statements which have been prepared in accordance with IFRS accounting standards. Management commentary is within the scope of conceptual framework, and therefore the qualitative characteristics will be applied to both financial statements and the management commentary. Discuss briefly the arguments for and against issuing IFRS practice statement management commentary as a non-binding framework or as an IFRS standard. Discuss how the qualitative characteristics of understandability, relevance, and comparability should be applied to the preparation of management commentary. Honestly, now this question can be answered even by those who have not studied the concept of management commentary. ठीक है. When we say that it is a non-binding approach, what does the word non-binding mean? Non-binding means this is not compulsory for everyone. If it is voluntary, if you want, so you should. If you don't want, then it is not compulsory for you to follow that. See, when you have a mandatory approach, that means everyone has to do it regardless of whether it becomes applicable for them or not. If you think of a listed entity, maybe it could be binding for them, but it might not be, because they have those kind of risks and their stakeholders have certain expectations when they are talking about when they are looking at the financial statements, but it should not be made mandatory for everyone. See, a mandatory standard is likely to, what it will bring in is consistent application of principles and practices. All entities will have to produce. ठीक है. If it is non-binding, तो क्या होगा? Some will do it, some will not do it. So the board का जो objective है कि यार financial statements should be comparable, that comparability element will not come into picture. Why? Because some decided not to present management commentary. That is the argument against making it binding. ठीक है. So first part of the question was what? First part of the question was discuss arguments for and against issuing IFRS management commentary as a non-binding framework. So arguments against non-binding framework means saying कि यार ये mandatory क्यों होना चाहिए, and arguments in favor means explaining why it should be a voluntary thing and not a compulsory thing for everyone. See, if it is compulsory, then everyone has to apply. ठीक है. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दैट कंपेरेबिलिटी ऑब्जेक्टिव जो है इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड बोर्ड का, दैट कंपेरेबिलिटी ऑब्जेक्टिव गेट्स फुलफिल्ड. बट व्हेन यू गिव that choice, the practice statement, what it does is it allows companies to adapt the information provided to particular aspects of their business. So when it is flexible, it generates more meaningful disclosures, is what you are saying. Entities who believe that this is applicable to them or giving this disclosure is bringing in more transparency for the users of financial statements, these people will only go for it. And otherwise क्या होता है ना, if something is mandatory, it often acts like a checklist कि करो करो करो, not really understanding that non-application of this particular part is only making things better for you. If it is made mandatory, people will think of it like a checklist which they have to fulfill at all costs, and the whole objective of giving out meaningful information will go away. When we used to prepare audit reports, na, there was a paragraph on company auditors report order, and उसमें ना सब नॉन एप्लीकेबल होता था, बट वो हम भरते रहते थे. उसका कोई यूज नहीं है फॉर स्मॉलर एंटिटीज. दैट company's auditor report order in India does not even make sense. These are private limited companies. वो ऐसे मेरे जैसे फ्लैट में चलने वाली कंपनीज है. It doesn't make sense, but you are making it mandatory, so it becomes difficult for everyone. So let it remain optional so that only those who see the sense in it and who see the utility of it can apply. That is the part that they want you to talk about. Okay. So let's read.
Just scroll, please.
In the future, if anyone asks, you should उतना knowledge you have that if management commentary पे question आता है, you know what to do. That tab on management commentary is what you need to refer. ठीक है. Second part, discuss how the qualitative characteristics of understandability, relevance, and comparability should be applied to the preparation of management commentary. Understandability, relevance, and comparability. Iska again, this part of the question na, it doesn't really have a standard answer. इसमें आपको क्या करना है, इसमें you have to थोड़ा सा faff your way around. In the sense, this is, you know what is understandability, you know what is comparability and relevance, but now you have to talk about it from the perspective of management commentary. ठीक है. Understandability, can you tell me in brief what is the meaning of the term understandability?
It
So
should
the
be
infor
easy.
Be precise and
In-
clear.
information presented should be
Yeah,
understandable, precise, and very clear.
yeah.
Okay, so basically it should also be presented in a manner कि यार it is very easy to locate, shouldn't create like a lot of प्रेशर, अभी ढूंढने में एफर्ट नहीं जाना चाहिए. इन शॉर्ट, दैट इज व्हाट इट मींस. नाउ you should give that information which the users of financial statements will find relevant for decision making. That is the aspect of relevance, कि यार वो information दो जो उनके काम का है. Don't provide them information that they won't need. So conceptual framework के हिसाब से write it in plain language and a style that is, you know, relevant, that is understandable to the users. Whatever is the form and content, make sure that the users are able to locate information. So, you know, just maybe giving like some sort of a reference or a index can help. Okay. Then relevance. Information has the quality of relevance when it has the capacity to influence the decision makers, right? So when you say information is relevant, that means it should have predictive value, confirmatory value, or both. Confirmatory value matlab transaction that has happened in the past, you are able to confirm that. Or predictive value, or say for example, fair value of an item could be the predictive value of that particular item, right? So information and the users should be able to correlate कि यार इसका यूटिलिटी क्या होगा मुझे. ठीक है. If material events or uncertainties are not disclosed, then the users will not have sufficient information to meet their needs, right? So don't give them unnecessary information, but and don't present too much information, because for main information gets obscure. Management commentary should be that. And when you're talking about comparability, that is basically critical to preparation of any financial statements. The user should be able to identify and understand कि यार ये entity में क्या हुआ versus what happened in another entity. So critical for users to be able to compare information between entities. And in management commentary it is a little problematic because narrative disclosures ka there is no format. There could be a form, there is a format for financial statements but not for narrative disclosures. So comparability in accounting standards is still doable because everybody will follow the same approach. But in case of business entities where you are talking about management commentary, which is narrative disclosure, that comparability might be very difficult to achieve and that consistency also is not possible. Okay, so that is the first part of your answer. As I told you, Hol's company also has a part dedicated to employee benefits, but I'm not going through that because we have done enough questions. Okay.